Drew Harmon's hands quivered on the steering wheel as he sped home, his wife's frantic voice still reverberating in his mind. Just 20 minutes prior, he had been analyzing blueprints for the prestigious Riverview Heights development, a project poised to solidify his standing as one of the state's leading architects. Then the call came. "Drew, come home now." Vanessa's voice trembled with urgency. As he screeched to a halt in his driveway, 3 police cruisers, lights flashing, surrounded his meticulously crafted modern residence, the culmination of 2 years of hard work. His 16-year-old daughter, Lily, rushed toward him, mascara running down her cheeks. "Dad, please," she sobbed, clutching his arm. "Just wait for Mom to explain." Drew gently moved her aside and stepped through the front door. The first thing that struck him was the acrid, metallic smell. Then he saw it. Blood splattered across the pristine white walls of his living room. In the center, Vanessa stood, trembling, next to a middle-aged detective with blood-stained hands and clothes. "Mr. Harmon," the detective began, "I'm Detective Thornton. There's been an incident involving your wife." "I killed him, Drew," Vanessa's voice pierced the air. "He broke in with a knife. I had no choice." On the floor, partially concealed by a sheet, lay a man's body, while the weapon used in the attack rested in an evidence bag on the coffee table. "We believe it was self-defense," Detective Thornton continued. "The deceased appears to be Quentin Doyle, a man with a history of breaking and entering." Drew's gaze fell on Vanessa, whose haunted eyes avoided his. Something felt wrong. The house bore no signs of forced entry, and Vanessa, who would scream at the sight of a spider, had somehow overpowered an armed intruder. As police processed the scene, Drew noticed a text notification on Vanessa's phone resting on the entrance table. Although he had never invaded her privacy before, he felt an inexplicable urge to glance at the screen. It was from Preston. "Are you okay? What happened? Call me as soon as you can." Drew's throat tightened. Preston was the charismatic landscape architect he had brought on board 6 months earlier for the Riverview project, the same Preston who had been spending an inordinate amount of time discussing their backyard renovation with Vanessa. That night, after Lily had finally drifted off to sleep and Vanessa had taken a sedative, Drew retreated to his home office. With meticulous precision, the same attention to detail that had fueled his success, he began to unravel the truth. Bank statements revealed suspicious withdrawals, and phone records showed hundreds of texts exchanged between Vanessa and Preston. Most damning of all, a hidden email account contained their plans to elope. But who was the deceased man? Why was he in their home? The pieces didn't align. Drew's mind flashed to Quentin Doyle's face. It seemed vaguely familiar. After hours of investigation, he discovered the connection. Doyle had been a contractor on one of Preston's prior projects and had a conviction for assault stemming from a client dispute. By dawn, Drew had formulated a theory. Preston had hired Doyle for something that had gone terribly awry. Now, Vanessa and Preston were scrambling to cover their tracks. He closed his laptop and gazed out at the awakening sky. The man who had entered his office just the day before, ambitious, trusting, perhaps even naive, had vanished. In his place stood someone colder and more calculating, someone who would stop at nothing to uncover the full truth. And once he had it, retribution would follow. 3 weeks elapsed. The official investigation deemed Quentin Doyle's death justifiable homicide in an attempted robbery. Vanessa played the role of the traumatized victim flawlessly, attending therapy sessions and speaking in hushed tones. To the outside world, Drew appeared as the supportive husband, taking time off work to help his family heal. Yet, behind closed doors, he had transformed his office into an investigative hub. Photos, timelines, and connection maps adorned the walls. Every night, after Vanessa took her prescribed sleeping pills, he meticulously collected evidence. He uncovered a pattern of meetings between Vanessa and Preston at a mountain cabin, a property linked to Preston through a shell company. Financial records indicated large sums exchanged between Preston and Doyle. Most troubling, life insurance policies had been taken out on Drew, with Vanessa as the sole beneficiary. The picture was becoming clearer. This had not been an interrupted robbery but an interrupted murder. His murder. Somehow, the plan had spiraled out of control, and Doyle had ended up dead instead. Drew enlisted Malene Russo, a former military intelligence officer turned private investigator known for her discretion. Dark-haired and sharp-eyed, she lacked the flashiness of a TV detective, exhibiting only quiet competence and a vast network of contacts. "They're still plotting something," Malene reported during a clandestine meeting at a diner 20 minutes from town. "Preston has made 3 calls to someone named Boyd Weiler. He's ex-military with a dishonorable discharge and now works as a fixer for those who can pay. They're looking for a replacement for Doyle." Drew's response was cold. "It seems that way. They're getting sloppy. Your wife withdrew another $25,000 yesterday." Drew nodded, his expression impassive. "Keep watching. And Malene, I need recordings. Every conversation, every meeting." Simultaneously, Drew maintained a carefully crafted facade. He suggested therapy wasn't effective and proposed a fresh start. He mentioned selling the house, the site of such trauma, and traveling for a while. He even broached the subject of reviewing their life insurance policies, observing the flicker of anxiety across her face. "For Lily's sake," he explained gently, "we need to ensure she's taken care of no matter what." The mention of their daughter was deliberate. Lily had always been Vanessa's Achilles heel, the one person she genuinely cared for. Drew also reconnected with key figures in his professional circle, particularly those who could be advantageous later. He reached out to Sonny Blackwood, a powerful developer with political ties who valued Drew's architectural vision. He rekindled his friendship with Tara Lennox, a brilliant attorney known for her ruthless courtroom tactics, under the guise of seeking advice for a colleague. Most crucially, Drew befriended Weston Miles, a tech entrepreneur who had recently acquired the local news network, engaging him in casual conversations over expensive scotch. At the Riverview Project, Drew made a show of embracing Preston's continued involvement despite the personal strain of recent events. During site visits, he was cordial and collaborative, even confiding in Preston about his worries. "Sometimes I wonder if Vanessa blames me," he admitted during one meeting, observing Preston's discomfort. "She's so distant. I'm concerned about our marriage." Preston offered awkward reassurances while avoiding eye contact. That same evening, surveillance photos captured him meeting Vanessa in a discount store parking lot, passing her a burner phone. 2 months after Doyle's death, Drew received an urgent call from Malene. "They've made a move," she said without preamble. "Preston met with Boyd yesterday, and I intercepted a text from your wife to Preston. Everything's set for the cabin this weekend." Drew's pulse remained steady as he replied, "Then we'll be ready too." He opened his laptop, reviewing the final components of his plan. For weeks, he had been constructing his own architecture, not of steel and glass, but of evidence, connections, and leverage. Every detail had been meticulously planned, every contingency considered. He glanced at the calendar. 3 days until the weekend, 3 days until Vanessa and Preston made their move, and 3 days until Drew revealed what happens to those who betray him. Friday arrived with heavy rain, mirroring Drew's mood. Over breakfast, he informed Vanessa that he needed to drive to the city for an emergency meeting with investors concerned about the Riverview project. "I'll be late. Don't wait up," he said, kissing her cheek while feeling her slight flinch. "Be careful driving in this weather," she replied, her smile failing to reach her eyes. Drew drove to his office, making a visible display of entering the building, knowing Preston had a colleague watching his movements. Once inside, he exited through a service entrance where Malene awaited in an unmarked vehicle. "He picked up his payment this morning," she reported as they drove. "Your wife packed a bag and told your daughter she's staying with her sister tonight because of anxiety." Preston cancelled his appointments for the next 3 days, citing a family emergency. Drew nodded. "And the cabin is all set. Every room is outfitted with audio and video. I have a team monitoring from a distance." By early afternoon, everything was in place. Drew waited in a rental cabin a mile from Preston's mountain property, keeping an eye on multiple screens. At 4:17 p.m., Vanessa's car arrived at the cabin. Preston greeted her with a passionate embrace before they entered. Their conversation confirmed everything. They discussed a plan to stage Drew's suicide the following week, using financial troubles as the motive. Preston had already begun to spread rumors about Drew's supposed mismanagement of the Riverview project. The life insurance would pay out, and after an appropriate mourning period, they would start anew together. "Boyd knows what to do, right?" Vanessa asked. "He's more professional than Quentin ever was," Preston assured her. "It won't be messy this time." Drew observed them with detached interest, akin to an architect assessing a flawed structure. When Boyd arrived at 7:23 p.m., Drew sent a precomposed text message. 12 minutes later, police cruisers surrounded the cabin, lights flashing in the rain. Detective Thornton, now fully aware of the situation thanks to Drew's carefully assembled evidence, led the arrest. Boyd attempted to flee but was swiftly apprehended. Preston tried to claim the meeting was innocent, but the recording devices had captured every detail. Vanessa crumbled into a chair, her perfect facade shattering as she realized the trap had been sprung. As this unfolded, Drew was establishing his alibi with prominent witnesses, attending a charity gala in the city, and ensuring he was photographed with Sonny Blackwood and several city officials. Tara Lennox, fully briefed on the case, stood ready to represent his interests, while Weston Miles ensured the story would be accurately covered, not as a sensational scandal, but as the calculated criminal conspiracy it truly was. By midnight, Drew was giving a statement to the police, portraying himself as the shocked, betrayed husband, eliciting sympathetic glances from the officers. The true masterstroke came the following day when Drew feigned struggle with the public revelation of his wife's betrayal. The evidence he had gathered unveiled a scheme far grander than a mere love affair gone awry. Financial records indicated that Preston had been systematically embezzling from multiple development projects, including Riverview Heights. Vanessa, with her finance background, had assisted in laundering the money through various shell companies. Their objective had not only been to eliminate Drew but to silence him, as he had unknowingly uncovered discrepancies in the Riverview accounts. The district attorney charged them with conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, fraud, money laundering, and a host of other crimes. The overwhelming evidence Drew had compiled led their legal teams to pursue plea deals. Preston received 25 years, while Vanessa was sentenced to 17. As for Boyd, his prior record ensured he would never see freedom again. During questioning, he revealed that Quentin Doyle had not been hired to kill Drew but rather to steal architectural plans and financial documents. Vanessa had killed him during a payment dispute, fabricating the break-in story. 6 months later, Drew sat in his reconstructed home office, finalizing designs for a groundbreaking urban renewal project set to cement his professional legacy. Lily, initially crushed by her mother's betrayal, had found stability through therapy and her father's unwavering support. Now she sat across from him, sketching her own architectural ideas, showcasing the same talent that had once propelled Drew to success. His phone chimed with a text from Malene, who had become more than just an investigator in his life. "Hearing just concluded. Vanessa's appeal denied. Thought you'd want to know." Drew acknowledged the message with a simple nod before returning to his work. He felt no triumph or satisfaction, only the cool certainty that justice had been served. The world had learned what happens to those who betray Drew Harmon. He had dismantled their schemes with the same precision he employed in his architectural designs, leaving no room for forgiveness or redemption. As evening descended, Drew gazed out at the neighborhood he once shared with Vanessa. Neighbors continued to whisper about the scandal, but their hushed tones now carried a new element, respect tinged with fear. They had witnessed the transformation of a man they thought they knew, from a respected architect to a ruthless strategist who orchestrated the perfect revenge without ever getting his hands dirty. Drew closed his laptop and joined Lily for dinner. Tomorrow would bring new projects and challenges, and if anyone else dared to cross him, they would learn the lesson that his wife and her lover had discovered too late. Drew Harmon designed not just buildings but consequences. And his designs were always flawless.